Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another video. All right, you guys, Pastor Shakima here. We are on the 40 Days of Love Challenge. It is day 12. How'd you do? These are the questions that we're asking. I'm asking. Maybe nobody else is asking. Maybe your spouse doesn't even know you're daring them. But guess what I'm doing? I'm asking. And I'm asking you. You're the only person who knows how you're doing. So tell me in the comments. First of all, tell me where you're chiming in from. Tell me who you are, where you're chiming in from, and did you get day 12 done? The other thing I want you to do is I want you to hit like, hit share. That way it gets out into the atmosphere, out into the algorithm, and it has people come over and hear what we're chatting about. All right, you guys, the 40 Days of Love. Now, today is one of those days, right, where I'm just going to be asking a whole lot of questions, and I'm going to need you to chime in. First question. Did you share? Did you share the video? That's the first question. Second question is, did you let me know who's in here and where you're chiming in from? Probably not, because I don't see anybody. But hey, y'all. Hey, Rita. Hey, Bracelets and Things. And Kim Wilkins and Dive Guy 64, Christy 2224, and Sexy Country Mama. Hey, Nita Knight 58. Hey, y'all. Hey, everybody. All right, y'all. My YouTube folks and my Facebook folks. Hey, y'all. Now, listen, YouTube people, I need y'all to do me a huge favor. I need y'all to watch from Colorado. Well, all righty, Baltimore. Very good. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So hey, Chris from Chicago. All right. Good to see everybody. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to, my YouTube folks, from tomorrow night and all the next nights, I need y'all to kind of watch on my other channel, First Love Ministries with Shakima Wilson. I'm trying to get the watch hours up on that channel. I'm still going to be on this one, but I just need watch hours on the other one. I do see one person over there. It's probably Miss Lynn, because she loves me and she wants to help me. Thank you, Miss Lynn. From Brooklyn. Okay, now I'm from Brooklyn. Where at? I'm from Brooklyn now. Don't let this country Southern accent fool nobody, because it is what is it. It is what it is. All right, you guys. So tonight is we're discussing day 12, but then we're going to prep for day 13. Day 13 is going to be one of those that you might have an issue with. There may be some pushback. I hope there's not, but there could be. So day 12, before we jump in, let's look at day 12. Before we do that, here's a question that I wanted to ask as well. Hey, Miss Sue, how are you? How many of us invest into our marriages? And if you're investing into your marriage, what are you investing? Now, I have a ton of books. Now, I don't have a husband where I can go out and do stuff. I can't go to marriage retreats. I could, but most times singles aren't invited. Hey, Ladybug. Most times singles don't get invited to those types of things. It typically is exclusive for married couples. You may have some ladies' events that do talk a little bit about marriage, but on the whole, when you have a marriage conference retreat or whatever, it typically is for the married couples or they're engaged, right? So sometimes us single people don't really have much we can go to. However, I have this, I always get resources. So this resource is called His Needs, Her Needs. It is a from Willard F. Harley Jr., Building an Affair-Proof Marriage. So I got this as a recommendation from Dr. R.A. Vernon and Dr. Victory Vernon. Hey, ma'am. Hey, Shaketta. Good to see you. Hey, friend. So I got this from a recommendation. Hey, Miss Ollie, a recommendation from them. Ocean Hill. I'm from Brownsville, Chester Street. I'm from Brownsville, Chester Street. His Needs, Her Needs. That is one book that was a recommendation from Doctors R.A. and Victory Vernon. Then I have, okay, this one, A Marriage Without Regrets by Kate Arthur. Where's another one? I have so many books, y'all. I have so many books, all kinds of books. Here's one of my older Love Dare books. I have books from Miles Monroe, books from Michelle McKinney Hammond on marriage or singleness, prepping for marriage. Bunny Wilson's book. I have to look for a couple more. This is called Creative Love: 10 Ways to Build a Fun and Lasting Love. I just get, and this came from Ollie's. I go to places and I try to find things, because when I don't know how to work myself out of a situation, or I don't know how to properly plan a date, right? Most men just say, okay, well, we're going to go out somewhere, and you just drive around till you find a place. Well, no, let's be, this chapter 2 of this book is called Suspense, Spontaneity, and Surprise. How to surprise your spouse. Take your love on an adventure, right? And it's all scripture based in here. Let me see if I can find some other. Creative Communication is chapter 1. It's called Words That Weave. Creative Communication That Strengthens and Heals. Chapter 3 is called Strands of Togetherness, the Principle of Sharing. Lock It In is called Making Memories and Marking Moments. Pomp and Circumstances, Making the Most of a Special Occasion. 2 to Tango, How to Creatively Navigate Conflict. I probably should have read that one for day 13. The Joys of Generosity, Giving Creative Gifts. So this is just a wealth of resources. Play dates and date nights. Want to go out with me? A Lifetime Warranty, Safeguarding Your Love Story and Dreaming Together. Casting Vision, Creating Mission, and Committing to Your Values. Most people haven't heard of any of those types of things, but yet we are out here being married to somebody, or we're out here playing house with somebody. That's even worse, because at least the marriage, you got, a guarantee. Playing house, ain't no guarantee he gonna be there today or tomorrow, or she is either. So again, how many of us really have committed to learning all we need to learn about our marriages and doing the work? We got to put in the work up front if we want to be able to recoup something. Whatever you sow is what you're going to reap. That is the law of sowing and reaping, or at least we hope that is what is going to be happening. But not everybody is doing that. And so if you're not, why not? And if you have, what was the results? It didn't work. Did you try something else, or did you just give up after the first time it didn't work? Some people are doing things over and over and over and over and over again until you get it. Okay. 75 medium, right? I started 75 medium on January 1st. I made it through the 4th. On the 5th, I had to be out of town and could not do my water goal. So I had to start over on the 6th. I worked all the way up until what was Tuesday night. Tuesday of this week was the 14th. And I could not get my exercise in because I had been out all day. I had church late. I did this late. And then by the time I was going to be doing exercise, it was going to already be 11 o'clock. And I have to get up early for work the next morning. So guess what? I started again. Now tonight, I still have one more good bottle of water to drink to make half my body weight in water, or I'm starting again tomorrow. So that's okay if you didn't make it happen the first time. How about we keep trying until we get it right? But some of us have a habit of giving up way too soon. So I just want to encourage you. And here's the thing too. All the books in the world won't save your marriage. You have to apply what you read. You have to apply what you learn. Really, the only book you need is the Bible. It tells you clearly how to love your spouse and how to esteem your spouse and how to respect your spouse and how not to spend too much money and how to have a good budget and all that. But I know sometimes people find it challenging to read the Bible. So he allows people like me and others to write books on how you can do certain things. And so it will behoove us to take advantage, right? I'm going to go buy, just to get a number one at Chick-fil-A, add cheese, hold the pickle, is going to cost me $15. I could have bought 2 books on marriage. Priorities, right? Just that one, the last chapter in this book, Creative Love, which I found at Ollie's for $4.99. I just go in the Ollie section. I go in the Ollie section, in the book section, and I just start looking for stuff till I can find something that meets what I need. It is very important to give yourself grace. I say, hey, I don't intentionally try to fail, but my time limit did not allow it. And so, hey, there's always tomorrow. Now, I have to eat a specific eating plan. I made sure I got my eggs in this morning. But I like this last part. It's chapter 10, Dreaming Together, Casting Vision, Crafting Your Mission, and Committing to Your Values. It is the 16th day of 2025. And how many of you married people have sat down with your spouse and crafted out what 2025 is going to look like for your marriage? I'm not talking about for your business. Your business plan is on point. You got bullet points. You got the fancy cover. You got it in a spiral bound notebook. You looking great, but your marriage is raggedy. Have we sat down and talked about what it is that we want to do together? Have he casted vision and you called it? Or did you cast your vision and he called it? Did we sit down and dream together? Do we even know what dreaming together looks like? Have we ever dreamt together? We slept together, but have we dreamt together? Oh, glory God. I felt that way down deep in my spirit. Okay? So your marriage is not anything to play with, yet we play quite often with people, their feelings, our money, whatever, just so that I can be pleased. Well, you're not always going to be pleased. There are going to be things that you don't agree with, things that you don't feel good about. Are you sticking with it or are you jumping ship? Which one? All right, we're going to move into day 12 because I do want to go into day 13 and spend a few minutes there. So let's just review day number 12 and let's go back to your dare. Day 12, which was today, is today. Love lets the other win. That was day 12. Demonstrate love by willingly choosing to give in to an area of disagreement between you and your spouse. Tell them you are putting their preference first. Anybody do that dare? Or have the opportunity? Maybe it did not present itself. But the next time there is an opportunity where you have to either hold out or give in, perhaps you would see their side of it as way more valuable, or I'm not choosing to fight this battle that I know I can't win. And so why not me just take one for the team, take it on the chin, and let a brother do what a brother want to do? You know what I'm saying? Not to my detriment. I do not believe that any husband or wife that are in a loving, satisfied relationship intentionally hurts their spouse. So I'm not talking about those people. Those people need prayer and deliverance, I'm sure. I'm talking about the fact that there's just a simple, small disagreement. It's not something I would have chose to do. However, fine. It's very good. Whatever's gonna, if that's gonna make you happy and this is what we need to do, because it's not hurting me. Remember, day 12 was me relinquishing my right to be right, even though I have a right to be right. I'm choosing my spouse over my right to be right. And that is perfectly fine to do. Okay. Now, we're moving into day 13. How many of you have taken your marriage evaluation? If you have not taken your marriage evaluation, can I tell you that you've already started behind? Because most of us have scored ourselves at, honey, we are at 1,000. 1,000 is the highest points you can get. We are at 1,000 until you actually take the survey, until you take the evaluation, and then you come out with a 605, and you like, ooh, wait a minute, what did I miss? And it says This is an area that you need to grow in. Communication might be an area you need to grow in, or abiding, apologizing. Some of us are too big to apologize because guess why? We're never wrong. Pride, because sometimes you are not right. I can tell you 100%, and I know this for a fact, that most people will blame their significant other spouse for the breakup of their marriage, the dissolution of their marriage. Can I tell you 100% it was not all his fault, not in my marriage. I know, because my simple prayer was, God, show me. I don't have time to be trying to evaluate him. That's long gone. But show me Shakima. Show me the areas where I have missed it. And y'all, day 13, this is one of those areas where I wish I had known it way back when I was married. Had I known some of the things I know now and have studied for the past 15 years, it's been that long that I've been studying marriage and just feeling a heart for it. But had I known then what I know now, I probably still would be married. Maybe. There's a better chance. But not knowing anything, that's why I'm not married now. That's why I'm divorced. But day 13, which is tomorrow, is one of those days where you really have to sit down and think a little. Tomorrow is an apology day. When you take that marriage evaluation, it breaks down those 7 different sections. You have apology, you have attention, acceptance, affirmation, affection, allowing, and abiding. You have all of those. And then you have what score you made. I was a little bit higher this time, but that's because I did my evaluation from how I would be now. When I've done it in the past, it was how I was when I was married, because I did not try to fudge the system. I just answered honestly when I was married. Okay. So I'm a little bit higher now. I'm not at a perfect score either. There are some areas. I have likely strengths, but there are some areas. Now, day 13, love fights fair. How many of you are boxing fans? Any boxing fans? Put a little thumbs up in the emojis. Or have you ever seen a boxing match or watch one on pay-per-view or whatever? Do you know the rules of boxing? If you know the rules of boxing, will you type that in the comments for me? Let's see if you get these rules right. Does anybody know the rules of boxing? Boxing's not my sport. I'm more of a basketball kind of girl, but listen, Mike Tyson was good to watch once upon a time. Muhammad Ali, you know, all those good boxers back in the day. Okay, here are the rules of now here's the thing. If you don't know what the rules are, how do you know if the person is fighting fair? If you don't know what the rules of the game are or the rules of the competition. This is a problem in marriage. We don't know what the rules of engagement are, and so we engage wrong. Now, here's what the rules are in boxing. The only method of attack is punching with a clenched fist. Punches below the belt or the back of the opponent's head or the neck is not allowed. The ring rope, so around the ring, there's ropes, top rope, middle rope, bottom rope. The rope rings cannot be used for leverage. So you can't get them on the ropes and keep, pound, pound, pound. You got to eventually let them out of there. An opponent cannot be hit when they are down. So if somebody goes down, you can't keep hammering them. You got to back up and let them get their wits about them so they can, figure out if we're going to continue or we need to call it. If a boxer is hit with a low blow, they can be given up to 5 minutes to recover. They'll tell you no hitting below the belt. That's not allowed. And if you do it too many times, they put you out. You lose just because you didn't follow the rules. So for those of us, do we not know, and most of us don't, that there are rules of engagement when you're in conflict with your spouse? And if you don't have rules of engagement, then you need them. If any of you are in the professional world or you in teaching or something like that, and you go to meetings, these are called your norms. What do we normally do when we come into this meeting? and we do not deviate from the norms, because deviation from the norms keeps me in here longer than I want to be. I have 30 minutes. So one of our norms is this meeting will be 30 minutes only. That's it. It is not 40 minutes. It ain't 50 minutes. It's not. No, if anything longer than what I agree to is now no longer productive. So what we're doing here in this day 13 is we're figuring out how to engage when there is conflict. Mark 3:25. If a house is divided against itself, that house will not be able to stand. It just can't stand. You've heard it differently. It says a divided house will not stand. It just can't. Because when you split the house in two, there's nothing solid keeping it up. Some of the walls have been broken down. The foundation is broken. Eventually, the house is going to crumble. Now, your source verses for day 13 are 1 John 1:8, Romans 12:18, Matthew 18:21-22, and James 5:16. So let's just run over if we have our Bibles. We're just going to jump in very quickly so that we can go through those verses. I'm not going to talk forever because I want to get to these rules of engagement. Okay, 1 John 1, verse 8. If we boast that we have no sin, we're only fooling ourselves and are strangers to the truth. This is when your grandmama say you a lie and the truth ain't in you. That's what my grandmother used to say. Where did she get that verse? She got that verse from 1 John 1:8. She didn't know she got it from 1 John 1:8, but that's where it came from. Romans 12:18. So those of us who think that our spouse is always the problem, go back to 1 John 1:8. That's your verse. Trust me, I know. Romans 12:18. I should make sure I got the right verse. Do your best to live as everybody's friend. That also includes your spouse. When my ex-husband said to me, "You're not my friend, you're my wife," crushed my spirit, crushed my soul. I was done because he was my best friend. I intended for my spouse to always be my best friend. And he said to me, "You are not my friend, you are my wife." Hurt, wound, done. Matthew 18, 21-22. Later, Peter approached Jesus and said, "How many times do I have to forgive my fellow believer who keeps offending me? 7 times? Jesus answered, "Not 7 times, Peter, but 70 times 7 times. Tomorrow is an apology day. And the last verse is James, which is one of my favorite books of the Bible. James is called the book of maturity. So if you're trying to mature in Christ, read the book of James over and over and over and over and over again. James 5:16. Confess and acknowledge how you have offended one another, and then pray for one another to be instantly healed. For tremendous power is released through the passionate, heartfelt prayer of a godly believer. Another translation says the fervent, effectual prayer of the righteous avails much. So I'm going to have to extend some grace to my spouse when we have conflict. Okay. Like it or not, conflict in marriage is simply inevitable. I'm on page 61 if you have your book. Conflict is a serious disagreement. Now, I wanted you to notice that it said a serious disagreement. Serious in this particular definition is used as an adjective to describe the disagreement, because he simply could have said it's a disagreement. However, conflict is a serious disagreement. We are on a whole nother level. We don't just disagree. We are on serious disagreement. We on not the same page. We ain't in the same book. We ain't about to be in the same house if you keep acting like you acting, because we're at serious disagreement right now, ma'am. We are at conflict or an argument. It's a squabble. We out here trying to learn how to wobble when you already know how to squabble. Listen, squabble, baby, squabble, baby, squabble, baby. We just squabbling, always squabbling. Why? I can't deal. I do not 100% have all of that conflict going on in my house. I grew up with it my whole life. My grandparents argued every day for 50 years, every day for 50 years. I can't do it. I have peace in this valley. We in unity. Whatever I got to do to have that happen, we doing it. It's your difference of opinion. It's discord. It's friction. Do you know that if you rub two things together long enough, like my thighs, you're going to start a fire because that friction is a thing? If you take, like you see those people out in the wood, wrong analogy with California burning. Lord have mercy. Okay. So enough friction could spark a flame to cause a fire. That is exactly what happens when you open up your mouth carelessly and you start saying stuff. Because he talks about in the book, in this particular section, where we get to, when we're arguing with each other, when we're at conflict, we're at serious disagreement, all the gloves come off. Now, remember, this is not bare knuckle fighting. We're talking about boxing. Boxing is a gentleman's sport. Really, it's brutal, but it's a gentleman's sport because we wear gloves and we have on our nice little boxing shorts and we're in a nice ring. Bare knuckle fighting is just out. That's street brawl. That is no gentlemanly. In boxing, when the bell dings, everybody goes to their corner. Outside in the brawl, it's nuck if you buck. And we about to nuck because you done bucked and we doing it. Ain't nobody stopping nothing. But boxing versus or contrary to street brawl is very gentlemanly. You got it. When the bell dings, everybody goes to their corner to collect their thoughts, to have a minute, to decompress, to get their strategy back. That's how marriage has to be. You have to know how to go to your corner and come back when you're in your right frame of mind to have this discussion. I'm not going to argue with you right now. I realize and recognize that you are very emotional, that you are having a very, you in this thing for real. So what I need you to do is I need you to calm down. And when you calm down, we can discuss this. But if you continue to yell and holler and scream at me, I am not going to be able to remain. I must go to another place. But normally when we are already at a 10 and a 12, we stay there. And that's the point and the place when we say things that we later regret. I shouldn't have said that. Right. It's just too late now. You already said it because it's out here in the atmosphere. They already really know how you feel. That's when we bring up old stuff. The past comes and shows its ugly face. Well, you should remember when you did and remember when you did. Now we forgot 1 Corinthians 13 that says love does not remember any of that. And God don't bring up our stuff, but we don't forget nothing. We just pack it up in our little suitcase for later. We put it right back here. Okay, as soon as he say something crazy, I'm about to come out with this. Remember when. Can't win for losing because you'll never let us forget. And I think one of the reasons why I've had to hone my words, I'm very selfish, y'all. I don't want to have to apologize. I don't want to have to go to them and say, I'm sorry because I was wrong. I just don't say stuff. Let me get my mind together before I engage. Because if I'm not together, I'm going to say things that are going to hurt. I'm going to say things that are going to wound. I'm going to say things that are going to do major damage. And I've not used anything except my words. If you don't think that words are powerful, I promise you that you are not thinking straight. Because I can do more damage here than anything else I could have done otherwise. He says in the book, which I thought was, again, he says, when you tie the knot as a bride and groom, you join not only your hopes and dreams, but this is so good. Y'all listen to this. This is why we got to spend a minute. This man has sold me a pipe dream. Girl, we're going to take on the world. We're going to do all the things. We're going to live over here. We're going to work for Jesus. We're going to do all. I mean, he has laid it out for me. But what he failed to tell me was that he was bringing his hurt, his wounds, his pain, his trauma, his stress, all that. I got the hopes and the dreams, but I also get the other stuff as well. I get all your baggage. I was teaching my the Titus 2 ladies. God will not let me claim them as mine, but I was teaching the Titus 2 ladies. And one of the years, the Lord told us, unpack your bags. Unpack your bags. You're carrying around hurt from your last 3 husbands. And this 4th one, who's trying to be the best he know how to be, he don't know how to even deal with none of that stuff. You carrying around your past trauma from what happened to you 20 years ago when you was a little girl. You are carrying around past trauma of your mom being an addict. You are carrying around past trauma of on the job discrimination. You just got all this, and they have theirs. They have theirs as well. And the problem that I see in today's society and culture is nobody wants to work on their stuff. I just gonna bring everything I have and he got to deal with it. Now, a good man or woman is willing to deal with it. But would it not be better that while God gave us all of this time to get ourselves together, that we went through some of that stuff, that we unpacked? Y'all, I'm doing 30 bags in 30 days. Imagine what I can unpack in my own life if every single day I went through and evaluated my behavior, my words, my work ethic, my integrity, all of those types of things. Why do I make the choices I make? Why do I talk like I talk? Why do I spend like I spend? If I just spent time evaluating Shakima, how much could I unpack? Here's the thing. I do not believe, this is just me. Please don't stop following me because I'm going to say something after this. Okay. It's like the but. Okay. I don't believe in therapy. For me, I don't believe in going to somebody sitting on their couch for $150 an hour for 10 years straight. Jesus is the great counselor for Shakima. He has been able to show me my mistakes every single time. Very genteel. He takes me through these strategies on how I could have said that better. And he doesn't charge me. He paid the price. He don't charge me. He paid the price. Now, just because I don't believe in it for me does not mean that you may not need it for you. So if you need counseling, there are plenty of people who are equipped, who are knowledgeable, who have the credentials to help you unpack your bags. God gave me a word. It was probably 4 years ago. 4 to 5 years ago. And the Lord said this to me, and I have held this word very close to my heart since. He said, Shakima, and he always calls me by my first name when he's talking to me about me. He never says it any other time, but when he's trying to give me a word about me, he says, Shakima. He said, when your husband comes for you, don't take anything with you except your clothes. And if he tells you to leave them too. He says, because where I am taking you, I have already made provision. So I am coming to this marriage that God is going to give me. Amen. Hallelujah. Glory. And thank you, Jesus. Without anything. I don't got no bag. He's like, you ain't got no bags. I ain't got no bags. I ain't got no U-Haul truck. I ain't got nothing. God told me to leave it all here. He says, where I'm going, it ain't no need for me to bring all this stuff. What is the point? Half of it came from the Goodwill. Another half of it, somebody donated it to me. He says, don't take anything. So why is it that when God has given us time to unpack the bags, we still carrying around 4 and 5 and 15 bags? Here's what your husband looks like in the spirit. Listen to Shakima. I'm telling you this like I know the back of my left hand. Listen to me. You have this man and he wants to take you on. So now you jump on his back. He all right. He good. You got the man. He's strong. He's heavy. He's pretty buff. He can hold you up. He's got you. But now you got a backpack on. You got a backpack on. You got a purse. You got a crossbody bag. You grab both because you don't have to hold on because he got you. You got 2 hands with 2 rolly suitcases, and he's trying to get you to wherever you going with all of this stuff you carrying. And your kids have just jumped on your back. but you forgot you was on his back. So most men these days, especially when you got kids, they're like, no, I'm good. That's too much pressure for that man to try to deal with. And I'm not saying that the woman don't have the same, because it can be exactly the same. But why would I want to deal with any of that when you've been single? How long? I've been single 15 years, and you ain't dealt with nothing in them 15 years. You just been sitting around waiting for me to show up so you can give me all your trauma, your drama, and your stress, and I didn't cause it. And herein lies the problem. God gave me 15 years. I haven't always loved every day of the 15. I've looked at God sometimes sideways and with the stank eye going, really, God? Really? Really? That's me. Probably not you, because you're better than I am. So don't even try to pretend like you're not, because you are, because I've questioned the Lord. But what I have been thankful for is the last 15 years, and probably not even the first 3 years, but the last 12 years, that God has allowed me to sit and study how to be somebody's wife, how to unpack it all, how to deal with Shakima, how to be empathetic, how to give a shoulder to lean on, how to be that person my husband needs, how to be an encourager. Because I had time. He wanted me to unpack my stuff, because not only do I want your pipe dream, but I don't need you wallowing in my trauma. I've already done that long enough. So let me deal. Okay, I'm moving on. I'm moving on. Okay, it says, from the moment you unpack from your honeymoon, you begin the real process of unpacking one another, unpleasantly discovering how sinful and selfish each of you can be. Pretty soon, your mate starts to slip off your lofty pedestal and you off of theirs. The forced closeness of marriage begins stripping away your public facade, exposing your private problems and secret habits. Welcome to fallen humanity. Because when you're dating and you're not engaging in activities, all they get to see is you dressed up. Listen, I'm about to show you what it looked like when I ain't got no makeup on. I don't wear wigs and I don't wear makeup all the time. This is what I look like. Now, if I feel like getting dressed up, don't worry, you about to get a treat. But you need to see the real, raw me. Because after the wedding vows and the honeymoon is done, you about to see boxer briefs on the floor, socks, and all the other stuff that you didn't see before because y'all wasn't living together. You're like, what is going on? I don't quite remember this. You ain't taking a bath today? Ooh, every time you came over before, you smell nice. Now you don't smell nice. So we take off all the mask, the makeup. All right. I'm going to move on because I need to get to this. All right. He says, let me read this. He says, at the same time, the storms of life begin testing and revealing what you're really made of. Work demands, health issues, in-laws, and financial needs flare up in varying degrees, adding pressure to the heat up the relationship. This sets the stage for disagreements to break out between you two. You argue and fought, you hurt, you experience conflict. Every couple goes through it. It's par for the course. You're not alone, but not every couple survives. We can go into this thing married and come out just as divorced as we want to be, or separated, taking a break, whatever you want to call it, or we can learn how to fight fair. So here's what we're doing for day 13. There are 2 types of boundaries. We're getting ready to set some boundaries or some norms. You have 2 sets of boundaries or guidelines. And this is what I like. He says, the wisest way to deal with your conflict is to learn how to fight clean by establishing healthy rules of engagement. If you don't have guidelines for how you'll approach hot topics, you won't stay in bounds when the action heats up. So you'll go from being a gentleman boxing in the ring to knuck if you buck. And it's gloves off and whatever happens, happens. We out here scrapping for real. But we're going to keep our boundaries. So we have we boundaries and me boundaries. We boundaries are our norms. This is what we both agree to do. if we get into a heated discussion, or as some people would call it, a heated fellowship. And then there are me boundaries, that this is what I'm going to do for myself, no matter what conflict we're having. I'm not going to go past this. Now, here are some boundaries that he gives you. Under we boundaries, some examples could be, we will never mention divorce. When I start dating, courting, whatever you want to call it, if divorce is ever on the table for you, I'm not the right person. I've already been divorced. I don't like it. I don't plan it again. So if you can't stick in with me, then we are not the right people together. If you mention divorce, if it's even on the table, miss me with that. 2, we will not bring up old, unrelated items from the past. It's over. I've forgotten about it. I've repented for it. I've asked forgive. Please stop letting me live in what it was when I am here now and what it is. We both agree not to bring up the old stuff. The third thing, we will never fight in public or in front of our children. Now, these are just some examples. You come up with your own rules. But the worst thing that I've ever seen or have ever seen is a husband and a wife fighting each other in public. We got to do this at home, babe. We can't do this outside. Because he's just lost all his credibility for being the leader of his household when you are in argument with him in public. See, in public, we got to just know how to hold them and fold them. I'm not about to do this with you. At home, we can knuck if you buck. Here, I'm here for it, whatever. But I'm not about to argue with you in public, and especially not in front of your children, because now you have just forced them to take a side. You have just brought them into an adult conflict that they don't have no business in at all. The conflict is between y'all. So if we got to discuss this when we go to the bedroom, hey, meet me back here because I need to talk to you. But I'm not talking to you in front of my kids. We can call a timeout if conflict escalates to a damaging level. This is what I called, I need 5. Or I need to go to the bathroom. Excuse me, I need to go to the bathroom very quickly. This is when you go, you take 5 minutes. You got to pep talk yourself. Girl, don't flip on this, brother, because you about to take me to this place and about to say something. You know, you got to pep talk yourself in the mirror. You got to wet your face down, wipe it off, and then you got to go back and say, okay, what was that again? Somebody has to de-escalate the situation, because if you do not, it's going to go to a place that you cannot return from. Another one, we will never touch one another in a harmful way. The moment you put your hands on me, the moment, not 10 minutes from then, the moment that is it, I am out then. It's ain't no apologizing. I'm telling you me. I'm telling you Shakima. Now I can forgive some stuff, but the very moment you put your hands on me, I will not forgive. I mean, I will forgive, but I will not stay in that. No, I'll play it because I already. I am not a. You can go to the boxing gym. I am not the boxing bag. Okay. Now, if I'm upset and you want to embrace me in a hug, very good. But we're making these rules for ourselves together. We will never go to bed angry with one another. Failure is not an option. Whatever it takes, we will work it out. And I put in another one on mine. We will always make up. Sometimes I might start an argument just for the makeup. I'm just saying, that's me. We always making up. Because we're now back in one accord. We're in harmony. We're in agreement with each other. And then you have your me boundaries. These are things that you're going to agree to. I will listen first before speaking. Everyone must be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger, according to James 1:19. The one who listens first consistently has the advantage in a fight. You should always approach sensitive issues by respectfully asking questions rather than making assumptions. Don't assume, just ask. The second thing, and he just gave examples, I will deal with my own issues up front. Why do you look at the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that is in your eye? According to Matthew 7:3. If you quickly admit where you were wrong and apologize first, you disarm your spouse and neutralize the ammo they were using against you while leading the way for them to deal with their mistakes as well. You're right. My bad. I apologize. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I popped off too soon. I wasn't thinking. I didn't listen clearly. And as soon as you apologize, the argument is over. There is no more conflict because they don't know what to do with that. They was coming back with their next best comeback, and you just said, I'm sorry. Do you not know how this is supposed to go? You ain't supposed to apologize. We supposed to argue this thing till 3 a.m. Oh, no, we ain't. Oh, no, sir. My bad. I apologize. I did not understand all that you needed, said, and whatever. Tell me again. My bad. 3, I will speak gently and keep my voice down. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Proverbs 15:1. People tend to mirror their enemy in a fight. The more intense they get, the more intense they get. You get loud, I'm getting loud. You get feisty, I'm getting feisty. You take off your earring, well, here come mine. Oh, no, you're not about to outdo me. Very quick story. I'll tell you this quick story because it's a good story. I have a friend. Her name is Kelly. Kelly's a licensed clinical social worker, and she's a really good friend of mine. And I used to be way different than I am now. Y'all know the good Shakima. The old Shakima was rough, raggedy, and just terrible. She was terrible. Y'all pray. I'm so glad she doesn't. She's the old things are passed away. Behold, I am a new creature. But I used to get so angry. Like I wasn't even angry. I've passed anger and would be at rage. Rage was a thing I dealt with. The Lord delivered me from it. I'm so very glad. He delivers people from all kinds of things. He delivered me from rage. I never had a substance abuse problem. I never had an alcohol problem. I had rage because there was so much damage done to me in my childhood that thing just sat in me. And when people would get on to that last very nerve, then the rage would come out. And it was not a good thing. God delivered me and I'm thankful. But when my husband left and it was just me and the kids, I didn't yet know how to manage it because I had always had a spouse since I had had children, and I was now a single parent, and I didn't plan on that. And so I remember one day I had been gone. I had a small kid. I had a teenager. I had a adolescent. And a baby, and I was trying to do all the things. I'm trying to single parent. I'm trying to work jobs. I'm trying to do all the things to make ends meet, to put food on the table, and I'm frustrated. So I walked in the house, and the trash had not been taken out. I could smell the trash as soon as I walked in the house, and I blew my stack. Totally blew my stack. So I called my friend Kelly, and I'm just like, you got to talk me off this ledge because I'm about to snap on these people. I don't understand. They know I work hard every day, and they just, all I needed was the trash to be taken out. I just was going on and on and on. And she said, Shakima, she said, you have to not respond the way you always respond. She said, your kids expect you to blow up on them. She said, they expect you to be angry and they expect that rage to come out. You have to not respond that way, and you will unarmed. They won't even know what to do with you. And I started thinking about that thing. My son Training was probably 14 or 15. He's 28 now. So this has been a long time ago. Thank God. Whew. Thank you, Jesus. About 14 years now. So the next time that something happened that did not go according to what I wanted, I didn't say anything. And when I tell you, you could have heard a pin drop in my house. My kids was walking on eggshells. They didn't know what I was going to do. They didn't know if I was going to blow up. They didn't know if I was going to roll up on them crate. They didn't know nothing. They was like, what's wrong with her? Hey, they was comparing notes. She ever done this before? I don't think she ever done this before. What's going on? What's going on? And every time since then, like I have gotten upset, but I've never gotten to that degree of upsetness again. But I've always tried to be different. They already expect this response from me. So I'm going to give them the exact opposite response. Your spouse already expects something from you. They know how you're going to be. They know how you're going to respond. They know how you're going to blow up. They know all the things. So what you got to do is hit them with something different. You got to do it differently so that they're not on their guard. They're like, I don't even know what's going on. But not did that do anything to my children. It began to make me think what peace could be in my house, what it could really be like when I was not so emotionally involved with whatever that decision was, or emotionally involved with whatever the task was that they didn't do that I gave them to do. I had to bring it down. And even now, 14 years later, I mean, honestly, we have the best relationship, my kids and I. We really do. And I very rarely get angry. I get upset. There are things that they do that we have to have a conversation about, but it is not anything like it used to be. And it's that one conversation that Kelly had with me. She only had to have it with me one time because I understood what she was saying. You gotta psych them people out, Shakima, because they already know you're going to do this. And I was like, wow, okay. And I had to self-talk. I had to talk myself, Shakima, don't you do it. Don't you get angry. Don't you do it. Because I know me. And so that has worked for me. That strategy has worked for me. Fighting fair means changing what you fight with, disagreeing with dignity, building a bridge instead of burning one down. Love is not a fight, but it is always worth fighting for. Tomorrow, your dare for day 13. This is probably one of my favorite days because I like the rules of engagement. Talk with your spouse about establishing healthy rules of engagement. How are we going to deal with conflict? Right now, all we do is argue. I need it to be different. So we need to sit down and come up with something that works for both of us. If your mate is not ready for this, then write out your own personal rules to engage. Resolve to abide by them the next time disagreement occurs. So if for some reason your spouse is unwilling, they don't want to sit down, they don't want to rules of engage, they don't want to do any of that. You're not telling them how to engage. You're just committing to what you're going to do. Because remember, even though you're daring them, this is still changing you. I got to do something very different so that my responses are different. And then the overall outcome of this disagreement is different. Some people are lifelong disagreeers. I just don't want to be that. Life is too short to always have problems. I believe that I can be in love my spouse, and do loving things without ever having to be in disagreement. I just don't think it has to happen. And if we do find ourselves in disagreement, I think we can act like two adults and we can work things out. That's my thought. It doesn't have to be yours. So again, tomorrow is one of those days where I'm extending grace to myself as well. Because will I get it right every time? Absolutely not. But it only took Kelly telling me that one time. It only took me thinking about it one time, and I have not gone back to that in 14 years. I needed it one time just for her to help me understand what I was doing wrong. At that moment, she was the voice of the Lord in my life. And I appreciate her for that. And I tell her very often, thank you so much for that one thing. She's done many things for me over the years, but that one thing helped turn around my whole entire life. So anywho, you guys, there it is. That's day 13, which is tomorrow. Remember, we're a quarter of the way through. We were on day 10. We are slowly making our approach to the next 10th day, which will be day number 20. We are already to Saturday will be 2 weeks in, with just a few short weeks to go after that. You can do this. You can make it if you want to. Some of us don't want to. It's gotten too hard. We might need to start over. Maybe your 40 days of love, you got off somewhere. Get back on. Start over again. It's perfectly fine. What I need you to do is like the video, share, especially if you know somebody that is having issues in their marriage. Can I promise you this, that it's not easy? It is not easy. But is it worth it every single time? Every single time. It is hard to look at yourself in the mirror. open and honestly and be like, you know what? Whoo, Shakima is a bunch of work. Yes, I am. But I'm a work in progress. God's still working on me and I'm doing well. I'm doing well, right? Give yourself that grace to say, I'm doing well. All right, y'all. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Join me right back here tomorrow night to debrief day 13 and prep for day 14, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. We will see you guys the next time. Bye now. Bye, y'all. Thank y'all so much for joining me.